Hey, I need this feature live on production by tomorrow. Oh, and you're next on call. Okay, that will never happen to you, and if it does, run. My name is Hashim and I'm a software engineer working for a tech company in Dubai. I'm going to go through 10 things which I believe will really help you when you're starting your first software engineering role. Let's get started. Number 1, ask lots of questions. Now it sounds super obvious, but a lot of people will either be too shy or think that they look stupid. Trust me, you don't. You're new and everyone knows that. If you don't understand a task, ask for clarification. Tell them that you don't have context. No one expects you to know everything as soon as you join the company. Obviously, that being said, try and look through documentation, Slack and Google on your own before asking. Number 2, write down everything you don't understand. I can't tell you how many times I've been in meetings where they were using acronyms or discussing past features and I had no clue what was going on. I thought I'd learn this stuff eventually, but trust me, it's best to just keep a note of it and figure out the best time and the best person to ask. We'll grow so much quicker. Number 3, be a sponge. No, not that kind of sponge. For the first few weeks, just focus on learning and soaking in things as much as possible. When I joined, for the first few weeks, I'd divide about half of my time for learning, for example, the stack, which would be the languages and the frameworks being used, as well as how to deploy and everything to get into production essentially, which could include logging, A/B testing, metrics, etc. Number 4, recurring learning time. This is your prime time to become a better engineer, because you becoming a better engineer means that you do better at your job, which also means that your company benefits from it. So don't feel guilty about it. Even to this day, I have 2 hours a week slotted in my calendar just for learning. As engineers, we're always learning and we really need to be. There's a lot of different things that you can learn and you can even introduce some of these topics to your team. Number 5, pair programming. To be honest, when I was in uni, I didn't really see the point in pair programming. I thought it just slowed me down. But trust me, at work, it's one of the best things you can do. Even as an experienced software engineer, it's good to pair from time to time because everyone has a different perspective and there's always better ways of doing things. So take turns driving and navigating and ask lots of questions. Usually the person you're pairing with will have more context and will know why decisions were made in the past. Sometimes I'm just staring at the code figuring out why is this here, and sometimes there's no good reason for it. I'd say the best thing to do when you start is balance your time pairing as well as learning and exploring the code base on your own. Eventually you can start to pick up small tickets on your own. Okay, so number 6 is technical flow. Now this is more tailored towards backend engineers, but if you're working on a service, figure out which APIs your service exposes as well as your downstream and upstream service. What this means is which services call your service and which services does your service call, and that is a lot of services. Doing this early on will help you to collaborate with other teams, and when you have any issues in the future, you'll know exactly who to reach out to. Also, from a product perspective, at what point does a user or the request get to your service? Okay, let's go on to number 7, which is finding a mentor. Having the right mentors could potentially fast track your entire career. You can count on them to help you make important decisions, answer difficult questions, or figure out the right person to ask. Usually your company will pair you with a buddy, which is a great starting point, but finding the right mentor could take a bit longer. You can always just go up to someone random and offer them cookies. However, if your company doesn't help with this, you can always just go to the senior engineer on your team or anyone else with more experience and work on building your relationship with them. Okay, number 8, daily log. Now I know a few of you are going to completely ignore this, but trust me, in 6 months to a year's time, when you're writing your performance review, it's going to be super useful. So in the first few cycles, I really struggled to remember what I did all those months ago and started stressing, and me being me, I left everything last minute and I was in the office until 12 o'clock. You don't want to do that. I'd suggest to just write a couple bullet points every day on the things that you've done, and it doesn't have to be super detailed, but it will really help. I usually tend to write tasks I'm working on, things that I've learned, if I've been leading meetings or collaborating with other teams, or pretty much anything that I think will help me in the next cycle. Also, it's quite helpful if you keep your engineering leveling framework in mind, which is essentially what do you need to do to get to the next level. Number 9, set up one-to-ones. And a one-to-one is just a meeting between you and one other person, as you probably would have guessed from the name. Now, it's a good idea to set this up with your manager, your teammates, and your skip level manager. Now, this is one of those things where the earlier you do it, the more you will benefit. Manager one-to-ones are absolutely necessary, and your manager should set this up, but I'll talk about this more in another video. Introducing yourself to your teammates and developing a personal connection with each of them will help you in your everyday life. Both you and your team will feel more comfortable working with each other, and you can use this in the future to give and receive feedback, which is honestly one of the best ways you can improve yourself. Finally, I'd recommend you introduce yourself to your skip manager, and a skip manager is your manager's manager. What this will potentially do is open you up to more opportunities, create more visibility for you in the org, and potentially even help you with future promotions. Number 10, socialize at work. In my personal experience, my motivation and general work mental health was a lot better when I built connections and even friendships with people at work. Try to get involved in any socials or events your company has. You can even look for Slack channels for any of your interests, like if you're into music, or if you're into table tennis or whatever else you're into, or even just join your colleagues when they go out after work. If there isn't much of a social scene at your workplace, you can always help to create it, and you'd be surprised a lot of other people will also be willing to join you. When I started building connections with people, even in the wider company, it allowed me to learn more about the teams and the functions, what they all did, and even just piece together how the company works as a whole. Alright, that's it from me. 10 things I wish I knew before starting my first software engineering role. This was my first YouTube video, so let me know what you think in the comments. If I missed anything out, let me know and help others out too. Good luck for your new role, by the way. You've got this.